Welcome to my YouTube channel, where I talk about disability and I also talk about politics because politics is happening even though I'm disabled. Uh, if I wasn't disabled, I would think that hopefully I could do more to be marching and everything like that, but in a wheelchair I don't march anymore, and it's kind of hard to get to places, so I don't get into that as much. But I want to talk about politics again today. Sorry. So if you don't want to hear politics, go. I get it. I understand. I'm cool with it. But I wanted, because we just had the State of the Disunion address the other day, got me thinking about some of the things that Trump wants to do or that he's accomplished, and I think he's actually put together some pretty impressive stuff. When and the things that he wants to do are, uh, I can understand why MAGA is all over it. I understand, why they love this guy. Why they think so much of him. So I kind of wanted to go over some of them and think about it. Like he just started a war yesterday with Iran, and I get why he's doing that. It's he already said that that we wiped out their nuclear abilities last June. So he's doing this one here because if he does this, he can start this war, and then he can finish the war, and then he can brag that it's another war that he stopped. So very, very smart. This guy, he's a genius. I mean, woo, good for you, man. Uh, but I want to talk about more things about him, and you know, the, I jotted down some stuff, and so I want to talk about it a little bit. He is the best. I mean, pumpkins love him, especially because of his coloring. Children, they get to learn about sex from him. I mean, you don't have to go to class. All you have to do is go to Epstein's Island. And he'll teach you anything that he wants you to know about it. He gives himself taxpayer money all the time. He actually created an organization that's supposed to be like NATO, and we're going to put $50 billion into it, and he's putting himself in charge of it forever, and it's never been approved by Congress or anything like that. It's all done. It's a way to put money into his pocket. Which he likes a lot of money in his pocket. Right, with the McDonald's French fries. He gives himself taxpayer money. He can grab women and brag about it, and he can make hockey players eat cold McDonald's food. And he can steal any kind of award or medal, that he can get his hands on. He can develop a vulva, in his neck. I think that's pretty interesting how he's doing that. I wonder whether he uses Botox or anything to help do that. But I know he loves women enough that he figures, well, if I have, a woman's part on me, that's something I want to have. He can heal that ear that was never injured, that was supposedly shot, but he wore a Band-Aid on it for a week, and then there's no damage to it at all on it. Yeah, sure, he got shot. I'm sure we all believe that. Epstein. He can convince the religious right to buy Bibles way overpriced that he got from China, where they take out parts of the Bible that he doesn't want to have in there, and that's all, even though he's broken every single one of the 10 commandments, including murder. He's murdered many people by his actions. And there's actually some thought that in the Epstein files that some young women were killed on his golf courses. That's something that they're still pulling out of the Epstein files, and that's why those things have to be transparent and they have to be made available to everybody to see. And then we're going to know just how truly evil this whole thing was. He can have a ridiculous hairdo. My hair is doing something weird right now over here. I don't know what's going on there. But even at my worst, my hair is not as ridiculous as his. And oh wait, and he does this weird thing with his hands. I never move my hands when I talk. It's never been anything. What is this all? Is he distracting or something? I don't get this whole thing here. Does it make sense to you yet? Does it make what I'm saying understandable now? Or maybe he's trying to make the fact, okay, if you look at his hands, you won't listen to what comes out of his mouth. Maybe that's the whole point of it. and he surrounds himself with people as ignorant and evil as he is. I mean, the people that are in his cabinet, you know, I would like the people in government to be smarter than me. And with his cabinet, I mean, literally, they're dumb. You know, he's got a bunch of idiots there, and he's an idiot. Um, but so anyway, so he, and I think he should put his name on the Trump Epstein files. I think Jimmy Kimmel had that totally right. Um, oh, he gets to stretch. Another thing he can work on is he can stretch out his cankles. He can do that. I have a little bit of cankle problem too, but I'm a paraplegic, so that's kind of an issue that I have. So it's a health issue. So he's trying to say he doesn't have health issues, but hey, as somebody with a health issue, I can tell you cankles are a health issue on things. He trips going upstairs, even though he made fun of Biden all the time for not being good at things. I like the fact that he gets to watch his wife keep her distance from him, pretending that she lives with him when she doesn't, and that might come out in the lawsuit that she forced Wolf to file against her, where he's going to get to his attorneys are really get to go into her where she lives. She's not in Mar-a-Lago with Trump. She's not. She doesn't live with Trump, and that's going to come out in court, or she's going to lie about it. We don't know. Um, Trump wrote a book, even though he can't read. Good on him. I wrote a bunch of books, but I know how to read. But Trump, he doesn't know how to read. It's just that's pretty clear from just the way they prepare his notes for him and everything. They have to give him pictures because he can't read. Um, I think that it was interesting that he found and employed the stupidest Kennedy in the world. So that's an accomplishment. He also closed the John F. Kennedy Center because he was desperate to put his name on it, and that caused it to close. So now he goes, well, I'm going to close it for 2 years as we put money into it that Congress had not approved, but I'm going to do it because I get to do anything that I want to do. And he did the same thing with the White House, destroying the whole building in there. It did not have congressional approval. We didn't have the approval of the people in the world. It's just something he demanded doing, and then he's gonna. I hate to see what that looks like when he's done, because the rest of what he's done to the White House with all that weird gold stuff and the weird photos and pictures and things like that. It's just I can't wait till he's gone and they tear all the stuff down that he put in there, in the White House and many other places. Um, I he also gets to make Putin happy. Putin loves the fact that Trump's in there because Trump is his lapdog. So Trump, Trump and Putin, yeah, they're together. Uh, I like the way he got Rubio and Graham, who I think are actually intelligent people. And at one point, they used to say the right things, like when Rubio said that um, Trump is a con artist. He's totally, completely, 100% right. But then when Trump puts him in charge of being the Secretary of State, oh, he changed everything, and now, oh, Trump's the best thing in the world. You can go back and look at things I said 5 years ago, and I can tell you that I'm probably still the same opinion 5 years ago that I am now. If I learn something, I'll change my opinion based on that. But I can't say that Rubio would have learned anything that made him go from Trump being a con artist to now being the best president ever on things. I think another accomplishment Trump had was he made Marjorie Taylor Greene look smart. That ain't easy to do, and he's actually making her look kind of ethical now. That's even harder to do. Um, so, I mean, she'll go back to being herself one of these. I mean, she made so much money in Congress, because of the way they can put money into their own pockets. Congress people can, I mean, we need to change the law. We need to make it so that they have the same insurance that they have the rest of us have. We have to make it so they can't enrich themselves, by the policy decisions that they make when they're in Congress. We need to put things in place, to keep that from happening. Um, he loaded the Supreme Court with idiots, that were not qualified to be Supreme Court justices, and they've ever since then. I mean, they made a good decision recently. Probably the only good decision they've made in the time that Trump's been president. Um, and he also appoints judges that are not qualified. The one he's got down in Florida, who has let him get off with everything. is a stooge of his, and she just simply makes whatever, whatever policy, whatever decision she can to support him, and not based on facts and law or anything like that. She does it just simply because she's probably hoping he's going to make her into the next Supreme Court justice. That's probably why she's doing all that stuff. Trump also claims to be 6'3", even though every time he stands around somebody who's shorter than 6'3", he's shorter than many of those people. Somebody who's like 6'1", he's shorter than a 6'1" guy. And then his whole weight thing, where he claims, his weight, height, no. He claims he's a financial genius, even though he couldn't keep a casino from going bankrupt. That's pretty impressive. A casino only has money come in. So how could a casino have lost money and gone out of business? Not to mention his fraudulent Trump University. So fraud is his name. He paid millions of dollars. Because it was proven to be fraud. Epstein. Oh, and who else would use a picture of their arrest warrant photo? I'm sorry, their arrest photo, where they got arrested, in marketing themselves. I look really angry and everything here. I am so intimidating here in this police photo that they are taking of me, and I'm going to use this to market myself. He claims he wants to get rid of immigrants, but then he marries one. They're eating our dogs. They're eating our cats. Are they still doing that? You don't hear that anymore. He got what he want. And does Melania is an immigrant? Does she eating dogs and cats too? She's married to a dog, but is she eating dogs and cats? Because that's what he says immigrants do. And he employs thugs to wear masks and terrorize civilians. He ignores any laws that he wants to ignore. He starts wars without congressional approval, even though the Constitution says that it's the Congress has to decide what wars we're going to go to, not the president. He can't do that, but he just ignores that. He just wants to do whatever he wants. He's trying to eliminate voting rights, and I know that ICE is going to be all over the election in October, beginning of November, whatever it is. It's in the fall. He's going to have ICE agents all over that, intimidating, scaring people, arresting people. I bet you we're going to be seeing a lot of videos of people being detained while they're just in line to vote. He's going to have thugs there, wearing masks. That's pure Gestapo. That's not American. That's not. And these people, and I there's a person that was with ICE, and he testified, to how their training is just not even being done, and they're, so they're not trained well. They don't follow any of the laws and regulations, and they're meant to intimidate people. That's what they're meant to do, and they're doing it. But the people are fighting back. I love what Minnesota's doing, and they stand up against them. I love the way he signs documents with that very goofy, weird signature, including the ones in that letter that he sent to Epstein, where his signature looks like the girl's pubic hair. Real classy dude. And then for him to say that's all made up, by Democrats now, when all that stuff existed before he was even running for any kind of office. So why would Democrats have gone back in the past, to do all these things to hurt him today, especially since he was, as friendly with the Democrats back then as he was with the Republicans. So, it's such an easy to dispel lie, but MAGA people are going to believe it anyway, because if he said it, I'm going to believe him because, oh my God, he's Jesus. I'm going to believe him. He keeps ranting about losing an election, saying that he would have won it. The whole I hate the word rigged. I don't even want to use that word. But had he been elected then, which he was not, he would have been president during Biden's last term. So Trump would not be president now. Anyway, he got reelected again. He got his second term. So what the heck? Why does he not give up on that? I think it's just his ego. It's just that he can't believe it, even though he doesn't know people like you and me exist. Who realize he's an idiot. And I really do consider him an idiot. I Yeah, we'll get there some more. And then he wears the ugliest hats ever seen. That red MAGA hat is just fugly. It's got a square. It's weird. You've seen me on my channel. I wear baseball caps, and they don't have like a real big front to it. And you don't wear that with a suit, But he wears it with a suit, with a red tie. Almost every time he's got a few blue ties, but mostly red tie. Um, so he'll also kiss the ass of any dictator. He wants to be a dictator. He is a dick. He's probably a tater too. He does the goofiest dance moves ever. This whole thing, throwing his punches around, thinking people are intimidated by his punches. You know what, as a black belt, if I would ever gone against this guy in karate, I would have loved tearing him apart. He wouldn't have lasted 2 minutes. 2 minutes. He wouldn't have lasted 20 seconds. Um, but anyway, he likes to throw his fist up like he's physically menacing. And, like I said, as a black belt, I would know who would be physically menacing to me. And this fat, lazy, slob, dumb, out of shape, um, bone spur, draft dodging piece of shit would not have intimidated me at all back in my karate day. I could probably beat him up now in my wheelchair. You know, I would actually like that. That'd be kind of fun. So anyway, so he throws up his fist like he's menacing. Loves to cheat on his wives. Cheated on all of them. Sleeps with a porn star while one of them's pregnant. Then he claims he's fighting crime, but then he pardons any criminal who gives him a bunch of money. Give him money, he'll pardon you. Or if you are MAGA, he's going to pardon you there too, simply because he wants your vote and wants your, to support him. It's not because you don't belong out in the world. A lot of the people that he's pardoned have since gone back to jail for committing more crimes. Many, way more than any immigrants. So you want to talk who the criminals are? They're the people that he's pardoning, and him. Those are the criminals. Um, let's see. Oh, he's going to lower the cost of prescription drugs by 7,000%. So that means when you get a prescription drug, instead of paying for that prescription drug, they will give you a huge refund of thousands of dollars on it. That's math. That's how good this guy is at math. That he says that you can reduce the price of something by more than 100%. Imbecile. He's an imbecile. Um, he pulled us out of climate change. He's destroying our relationship with NATO and countries like Canada and Greenland. And he starts wars, just to distract us from his actions. Epstein, 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 Epstein. He claims a cognitive test is an IQ test. He has the concepts of a healthcare plan, but yet here he is in his second term, and he's never come up with a healthcare plan. He says he's going to have the best healthcare plan in the world, and he came within one vote of destroying the healthcare for millions of Americans, and he never even had a new plan to put in there because he has a concept of a plan. He destroys due process, for people who are arrested. That's what judges are for. But he only cares about judges if they're the ones that want to keep him in control. He increased the cost of products and food with his goofy tariffs, and now we're gonna have to pay all that money back because the judges, finally, got his spine and said, no, you can't do that. He's destroying freedom of the press. Look how he's going after people in the press. He's having Department of Justice weaponized, and he's going after the people that are helping keep us informed of what's going on in government. The free, and then the only people out there that are going to be left are the ones that, getting rid of Jimmy Kimmel and just trying to get rid of anyone that makes fun of him. or tries to puts him in his place. That's weaponizing Department of Justice. I mean, we need to get rid of the government of billionaires being able to run our government and make these decisions, in order to enhance their own wealth. They have plenty of money. They don't need more money. Um, he gave Elon Musk, speaking of billionaires, our personal information, social security numbers and stuff. Um, he stole government documents when he left term the first time, and now he's suing us to try for suing us for billions of dollars for having taken that legal action against him. And he's claiming he's going to give all that money to charity. He's never given a nickel to charity in his life. That money's going to go into him. It's what it's going to go into. So lie. He takes over all of Congress actions, with his executive orders. Things that Congress should be deciding. He just goes ahead and does it. And his stooges on the right, in Congress are go, okay, we'll let him do it. He intimidates universities, and he withdraws fundings with them if they disagree with him and don't support everything that he wants. He refused to let a bridge be built unless they named the bridge after him. And he puts his name on the cards to get into national parks. And if you destroy that picture of him or put something over it, they won't let you into the park. He makes the Department of Justice his personal police force, to just arrest anyone that he wants to arrest. They'll do it. They'll do anything he wants. He eliminates our First Amendment rights. We're not allowed to talk. I don't know how long I'm going to be able to do this. Someday they'll buy up YouTube, and YouTube won't let me do this kind of thing. I very much could do that. He put his name on a coin. He tried to get his face onto Mount Rushmore, next to honorable presidents. Epstein. I guess that's it. Those were a number of things I thought of when I was trying to think about, when he had his state of the disunion, and he's done more to tear us apart than anybody. Including, the Civil War almost. Civil War, literally broke us into two countries. So maybe he hasn't gone quite as far as the Civil War, but he's putting us in. He's getting close. We've got people that hate each other because of him. You've got family members who can't talk to each other anymore. You've got friends who aren't friends anymore, and all because he created this world with all these things I just talked about. And there are these sycophants that just follow every single word that he says, and I don't see it. I just don't see how it can be that way and how it's possible. So anyway, thanks for letting me ramble. Thanks for letting me get that off my chest. It's probably good for me to have these kind of talks and vent about it and feel better about it. We need the midterm elections, to put people in charge of the government who can stop him from doing all these things that I talked about on things, and put some controls on him. Get him on trial, for what he did during Epstein. Anyway, take care. You want to check me out, my website, www.normcowie.com. That's COWIE. Thank you much for listening. Take care, all right? March is coming.